Most men operate inside systems of power they have never actually understood. They compete harder, they work longer, they build credentials, and they lose repeatedly to men who understand something they were never taught. What they were never taught is this: power does not go to the most competent. It does not go to the hardest working. It does not go to the most qualified. It goes to the man who understands what the people above him want and controls whether they get it. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote the most misunderstood book in the history of power, not because it is too dark, because it is too accurate. He was not describing how power should work. He was describing how it actually works. And 500 years later, no one has proven him wrong. The reason most men do not advance as fast as they should is not capability. It is that they are playing by a set of rules that the men above them stopped following years ago. They were never told, and no one in the system has any reason to tell them. Today, on Ironframe, Machiavelli wrote them down. This is what they are, and this is whether you have been playing by the wrong rules your entire career. Niccolò Machiavelli spent 14 years inside the Florentine government, not as an observer, as the man responsible for its foreign policy and military affairs. He watched how real decisions were made, not the decisions that were announced, the decisions that were actually made. They are not the same thing. In 1512, the Medici returned to Florence. Machiavelli was removed from his position, accused of conspiracy, imprisoned, tortured, then released into exile outside the city he had served for 14 years. He was 43 years old. He had nothing. So he wrote, not to theorize, not to philosophize, to record exactly what he had watched happen inside the institutions of power for 14 years. The result was The Prince, a document that describes how power actually functions with the same detachment a surgeon uses to describe how a body actually works. He dedicated it to Lorenzo de' Medici, the man whose family had imprisoned and tortured him. This is not irony. This is Machiavelli applying his own principles before he had written them down, understanding what Lorenzo wanted and offering it in exchange for the political standing he was trying to recover. Lorenzo never gave him his position back. The Prince was not published in Machiavelli's lifetime. He died in 1527, having never regained what he lost. And yet, the book he wrote from exile is the most accurate description of how power functions that has ever been produced. The conditions under which he wrote it are exactly why. A man who has lost everything and still sees clearly is not describing how he wishes power worked. He is describing what he actually saw. Machiavelli saw three things that most men never see. Not because they are hidden, because most men are not willing to look at what is actually there. Three principles. This is what they are. Principle 1. Power does not go to the most competent. It does not go to the hardest working. It goes to the man who understands what the people above him want and positions himself as the reason they get it. Machiavelli studied Cesare Borgia in person. Borgia was not the most capable military commander of his era. He was the man who understood exactly what his father, Pope Alexander VI, needed politically and made himself indispensable to getting it. His father controlled the papacy. Borgia controlled what his father needed from the papacy. That is not loyalty. That is leverage. Machiavelli watched this and wrote it down. How to use this. Stop trying to be the most competent person in the room. Identify the one thing the most powerful person in your system needs to happen and cannot reliably make happen without help. Position yourself at that junction. Make yourself the reason it happens. Not once, consistently. That is Principle 1 applied. Competence gets you in the room. Positioning keeps you there. That is Principle 1. Principle 2. The appearance of virtue is more useful than virtue, but the man who has neither, the man who neither possesses virtue nor can maintain its appearance, is finished in any serious system. This is the line most people use to dismiss Machiavelli as cynical. They misread it. He is not saying be dishonest. He is saying the system judges appearance before it investigates reality. A man who is genuinely virtuous but cannot demonstrate it will be treated as if he has no virtue. A man who projects virtue consistently buys himself the time and trust to actually develop it, or to be effective without it. The appearance is the entry point. The reality is what sustains it. How to use this? Before you have the track record, project the consistency of someone who does. Be on time, every time. Follow through on small commitments before anyone gives you large ones. Speak with the precision of someone who has already thought the problem through. The system will treat you as the thing you project long before it has the evidence to verify it. Use that window. Build the reality inside it. The system does not reward what you are. It rewards what it can see you are. That is Principle 2. Principle 3. Every man who reaches a position of power has two sets of enemies. The first set is obvious, those who oppose him. The second set is the one most men never anticipate, those who helped him get there. Machiavelli explains the mechanism precisely. The men who help you rise do so because they expect the position you reach to serve their interests. When it does not, and it cannot serve everyone who helped, they become opponents with one critical advantage over your declared enemies. They know exactly how you got there. They know your vulnerabilities. They know which support is structural and which support is conditional. Your declared enemies never had that access. Your former allies do. How to use this? When you reach any position, a promotion, a new role, a leadership position, your first priority is not managing your declared opposition. It is identifying which of your former supporters now has interests that diverge from yours. Find them before they find their reason. Give them a continued reason to support you, or remove their access to what they know before they use it. Machiavelli says this directly. Most men never do it. Watch the allies as carefully as the enemies. The allies have the map. That is Principle 3. Power goes to the man who controls what the powerful need, not the man who performs the hardest. The appearance of virtue opens every door. Competence cannot. Build the reality behind it before the door closes. The men who helped you rise are not loyal. They are invested. Manage them before they manage you. This is not dark psychology. This is structural reality. Machiavelli did not invent these rules. He was the first man honest enough to write them down. And this is what we are going to apply to your system. Machiavelli was not a cynic. He was a diagnostician. He looked at how power actually moves, not how men wish it moved. And he wrote down what he saw with the same detachment a surgeon uses to describe what is inside a body. The body does not become less real because the surgeon is willing to open it. Power does not become less real because Machiavelli was willing to describe it. Most men who watch this video will nod at the three principles, find them interesting, go back to competing on competence, go back to being genuine without learning to project it, go back to trusting their allies without auditing what those allies actually want, and wonder 3 years from now why the man who understood less is running the room they built. A small number of men will do something different. They will identify their junction point. They will audit their allies before their allies audit them. They will start projecting what they are still building. Subscribe to Ironframe if you are one of them. Not because we will motivate you, because every week we will hand you the mechanism, and what you do with it is entirely your own decision. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in exile, tortured, stripped of everything, addressed it to the man who destroyed him, never got his position back, died having never seen it published, and 500 years later, every person who has ever tried to understand how power actually functions has had to read what he wrote from that room. That is not a lesson about power. That is a lesson about clarity. The man who sees clearly, even when it costs him everything, cannot be made irrelevant.